in the Go for StarCraft monthly finals. Again, remind you all it's the March finals. It's a little bit late, but better late than never. In the top left corner of the map, we have My Insanity's Yellow Zerg player, Petraeus.
From New Zealand.
From New Zealand.
Not Australia.
It's okay. Australia, Britain, New Zealand, they all sound the same, right?
Yeah. And in the bottom right corner, we have the light blue Terran Beastyqt.
Alright, so BC put a... That was an interesting game for a lot of different reasons, but I think it wasn't so much that the players were making a lot of really cool, good decisions. They were both making a lot of pretty scrappy, bad moves. Although I did like that island base. That was pretty neat.
It's definitely fun to see games like that every once in a while. It just changes the pace of things and you get to see some interesting scenarios.
Yeah, it's... when we were casting the WCS qualifiers, it's like, 8 days of StarCraft straight. And the European games were definitely a lot more refined. But I think I had more fun casting all the North American matches because there were a lot more of those like scrappy, ridiculous games. Like there was this one on Iron Fortress, it was like Desert versus No Regret, and it was like a 20-minute Roach All-In versus Blink Stalker standoff tug-of-war in the middle of the map. I don't know, I love those games because they're just such a break from the normal.
Those qualifiers are rough. They are very rough.
What did you think, by the way? So, I mean, I know you took some time off for StarCraft. Did you feel like it was going to be easy peasy coming back, or were you just, like, shocked that you didn't make it?
I was a little bit surprised, honestly. I actually didn't know how soon the qualifiers were. I decided to play them when I saw that the finals were going to be in Toronto this season. But I only figured that out, like, 2 days before the qualifiers started, so...
Oh, so lots of time to practice.
Exactly, and it turns out I actually performed better according to Yak than expected in the qualifiers. I was winning like every match 2-0 until the finals, and I would just like completely choke. So I'd go like 10-0, and then in the finals I'd lose 1-2, or I'd go 8-0 then lose. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, it sucks that that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah, but I can only blame myself.
So because next season's probably back in Europe, I'd imagine. Are you gonna try out, or is it nah?
We'll see. If I can at that time, then yeah, I'll play it.
As I say, God knows you've traveled around the world enough times. I can totally understand if you were just like, you know what? I don't like sitting out of that one.
I'll play it if I can, for sure.
Cool. Well, Coda is a very interesting map as far as layouts go, thirds and fourths. But I think if Beasty is going to be playing mech again, and I'm kind of, my fingers are crossed here a little bit that he would, because I'd love to see how he handles it on this map. Petraeus is going to have to change something up, because as weird and scrappy as that was, I guess one of the big things was it was off a failed all-in. I mean, just thinking back to his first attack, and it never really got super uphill from there. The third CC snipe in the middle of the game was nice, but again, I can't imagine that's another mistake Beasty makes 2 times in a row.
Yeah, Beastyqt actually sent out some of his Marines to check for overlords, and because of that, he could have had an issue, but Petraeus kind of waited a bit with these Zerglings. He was kind of scared. Yeah, actually, I want to talk about this build for a minute. A lot of people think, like especially his Majors told me, that he thinks 1-Rax expand is not very good. He says that, like, some people do it, especially on this map, to try and kill the Overlord. But Major says that he's told me that even if you kill the Overlord, it's still worse than if you just went Command Center first. And I'm not exactly sure about that, but he's a Terran player and he would know better than me.
Well, I mean, especially in a situation where you don't kill the Overlord.
Yeah, especially then.
I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with mentality, though, too, right? I mean, okay, let's say you go CC first. Let's say it's a Reaper opening. It's really what you're most comfortable with. And some players just really aren't comfortable being greedy. I mean, it might be statistically better, but if you lose more games because of it, is it better?
And Beastyqt definitely is an old school player. He likes those 2-Raxes and the 1-Rax CC, stuff like that.
Yeah, I miss his like Wings of Liberty, because I only really got into StarCraft towards the end of Wings of Liberty, so perhaps I caught him only in his prime, but I loved watching a lot of his tank pushes too for various different strategies. We do have a pretty interesting attack coming across the map, though. I'm waiting to see if an armory got slapped down. He did go for double gases. I assumed it was a Banshee, but Hellion Heavy and no armory is a little bit questionable.
This is probably going to be an elevator, or...
but the Roach is already out, so I don't know.
Hellion's in the front, Marines in the middle. And this is the one advantage of going 1Rexy, so you can do an earlier attack.
The Roaches are just kind of sitting in the middle, though. Petraeus, not quite sure which way this is going to come from. Doesn't actually have any vision of this unload, by the way, so fully unloads before this gets revealed. Roach is going to respond to the main. Heli's just going to run right past everything and go to the natural base, and we'll see if he gets some kills. This is a pretty critical time for most Zerg players. When they lose drones this early, it tends to hurt really bad, and I'm not going too badly for Petraeus. BC does kind of give away all the Hellions, gets about 5 workers for it. So, pretty decent hold.
That's perfectly fine for Petraeus. I would love to only lose 5 workers to this. He can just be he can be super greedy, or he can just mass roach down and go attack.
Yeah, they clumped up for a second too. I think one of the problems with Beastyqt was perhaps trying, how do I phrase this, too hard to micro, because he missed a shot in the Hellions, and like a one shot and the roaches or the drones clumped up like that would have been so many more kills.
Yeah, sometimes when you're trying to stutter something like that, if you just stop a second early, you can completely miss a shot.
Well, I don't think the counterattack will be too bad to deal with. There are 2 bunkers, and worst case scenario, he's got Banshees on the way, so not gonna be too bad for him. Petraeus did take that third though way before that attack even began, and he's one of my shots. Ugh. Yeah, it's gonna send him right back home.
So he's going into mech again. He tried to go mech all 3 games. The first game, of course, he died too soon, but we'll see how it works out this time.
Oh, but Petraeus might not be thinking mech. Spire on the way, melee upgrades.
We'll see. He has no Baneling Mask, so I don't know what he's thinking.
I mean, it could, yeah. I mean, we've been seeing a lot more faster hives, right? Where you just either Brood Lords quick or Ultras, but.
And he is going Infestation Pit, so I think he does assume it's mech.
Oh man, I don't want to pick on you, but I remember there was a game back on like a really old game where I think I watched you try and make like. I can't remember if it was like 4 infestation pits or something because you kept trying to put an ultra scammer down instead.
Against state.
Yeah, I think yeah, it was like way back when on like Belshire or something, like forever ago.
Yeah, I was going 2 base, 2 evo into Ultalisk.
Man.
And I creep on the entire map, so it didn't lose me the game, but I still waited like 4 minutes before I did ultras. Yeah, it's depressing.
Hardcore nostalgia there. These are things I definitely wouldn't think about normally, but it's like, oh, I'm casting Scarlet. This never happens. Trigger, trigger, trigger. But
Yeah.
okay, so what do you think of this build? Like going faster hive like this? Good, bad? Don't really care.
Well, I don't know what he's gonna do yet, so I'll see once he does that. Because I never do this, honestly. Maybe he's going to ultras, which would be interesting.
Well, Drone's getting fried up here. Not too many kills. Petraeus has been pretty good about pulling his drones and splitting them up, so BC's been really funny hard to get those sweet Hellion shots.
And I was gonna say about the Ultalisk, then a lot of people end up changing the hook here for that because it's right beside I. And you hardly ever make an Ultalisk and compared to Infestation Pit, so when my hand goes over there to make something, I always press I instead. And the size of the building is pretty similar, so you don't notice it immediately.
Yeah, I can feel it. We actually, I don't know what it is. This month has been like the day, the double Roach Warrens, the double Evo Chambers when not necessary. Uh-oh. Am I lagging out? Oh no. Oh no, it's Scarlet. Uh-oh. Sorry guys. I must have invoked the rage with that memory. The passion and the emotions were too real and she just couldn't take it. Blew up right then and there. Nah, it's a little unfortunate. We'll try and get her back afterwards. We are playing on the EU server too, so I don't know if that factors into this at all, but yeah. Worst case scenario is solo cast for a little bit. I don't think she's coming back though. Usually if it's this far gone. So one sec. Pardon me. Wonderfully gross sounds. Again, I'm a little bit sick today, guys, so if I do have to solo cast this, I'll do my best. Let's go hang up the Skype call so it stops making the sounds too. Rip. Rip. But okay, we'll try to grab Scarlet back a little bit afterwards. Anyways, my point that I was going to make with this, though, jokes aside, because we have been seeing folks like Nurchu and others throwing a ton of like double Roach Warrens, I was curious where the Hive tech was going to go. Yeah, the Ultras joke, whatever, for the Caverns, but Ultras are really not super bad right now. A lot of what's been going on for the matchup has been a lot of Zerg just trying to do the old school tech swaps. You know, you go heavy into the ground, infestors, ultras, lings, roaches, whatever, and you hope that BC invests in a ton of tanks. Then you surprise them with some broodlords, boom, no problem, you break those lines. Alternatively, if you do see a lot of Vikings like this, you want to clear those out of the sky, maybe force more Vikings out even, fake some broodlords, and then follow up with the ultras, because the Vikings can't deal with those. There's a lot of ways that this gets played out in the late game, but the only thing that does catch me personally a little off guard is that he did do this very quickly. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's an interesting way to use your tech, because rather than trying to harass or poke or run by or keep the tank count from getting too high too early and trading and whatnot in the mid game, he actually just cuts all the middle and just goes straight to the dessert. And let's see if this works out for him. Now, Adrenal Glands is pretty interesting for an upgrade. If you guys don't know, in Legacy of the Void, the effectiveness is doubled. So we're seeing a lot of lings over there, but in Heart of the Swarm, it's still a pretty good upgrade. Not exactly game-breakingly good like it is over there, but we'll still see some good effect out of it. Hellions going to run through the main, and he, again, just pre-pulls the drones. Petraeus getting pretty good at minimizing losses. Now, he's still going to lose a bunch, sadly, just because how long it took the army to respond, but this whole game, he's been pretty good at saving off the Hellions and not taking too much damage from them. There's that Twitch delay. I see all the picnic baskets. Everyone's freaking out. Scarlet, no! Guys, don't worry. We'll try to figure out what's going on afterwards. Hopefully it's just a small little blip. She was, yeah, just fun fact for those who don't know. Scarlet was actually, I guess just listened to one of the casts, and I had mentioned how Zombie God wasn't going to be available today. I'd have to find somebody. She messaged me like right away. I was like, oh, wow, cool. So, hopefully we'll get to see a little bit more of her later. I mean, again, there's so many Zerg players in the bracket today, too. It's just so perfect to have a Zerg co-caster. As, if you guys haven't seen the brackets, make sure to hit / brackets in chat and take a peek what's going on. Got some more run-bys going down here, but looks like the winner of this is going to fight someone named Lemur. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but we do have a Laser versus Snoot currently going on in the very bottom half of the bracket. Maybe catch him a little bit later. Locust, though. Ooh, okay. So Scarlet got to touch base a little bit on this earlier, but we never saw it come into play, so it didn't really take too much effect. But the way the Locusts kind of work nowadays, especially with the flying effects, you know, you can quickly walk the swarm hosts, say here, launch them over the ledge, they fly to the main. Whatever they land on is pretty much guaranteed to die. They just attack so fast. For those who haven't been keeping up to date with the changes in the game, the actual change to the swarm host is, first off, it's no longer an auto cast. It's got about a 60-second cooldown. That's a long time to wait for new Locusts. And, of course, they can fly. But also, above all else, they have their attack speed, I think, reduced by like another 0.2 seconds, so they just get so many more shots off in a very small period of time. Ultra's going to be revealed for the first time, I believe. Hellions, sadly, going to be the ones to discover them. This fourth base out of Beastyqt is ambitious. I don't know if this is actually going to get up or not. Even if this was a planetary fortress, it's a question of can you stop the horde of Ultras. It's going to be transfuses like crazy, some blinding clouds down too. Maybe not transfuses like crazy, just anti-air with the queens. I mean, transfuses would be nice, but despite the tank spread out of BC, everything is getting blinding clouded. Vipers did get picked off at this point, but they kind of did the job and they opened the way for the Ultras to really get in here. Now, there's just not a lot to stop this. If there was more Banshees in the sky, this looks a little bit different. If there's more tanks or Thors on the ground, this looks a little bit different, but this is a pretty rough hold. Even the planetary in the middle of the map gets picked off. Oh, I didn't realize BC had put a planetary to start too. Planetaries everywhere. It's like Oprah and planetaries. You get a planetary. You get a planetary. Yeah, okay. Swarm hosts are coming out. I don't imagine we'd see more than 5 or 6, because it seems to be the number everyone's comfortable with. He's going as high as 7. That's still fine. They are kind of expensive. Mostly on supply, but also gas and I think it's like 200, 100 for minerals and gas. Oh, this drop in the main really has nothing in it. I don't know what this is for. This is like a scouting drop is what it is. 2 Marines and a Marauder. Ugh, awkward. Where are those swarm hosts? I want to see where he's planning to take them for this. CV. What's up? Come here. I ain't done with you. Okay, the Roach is going to pick him up. More command center clusters coming down. I don't imagine all 3 of these would be planetary fortresses, but like 1 for sure. If nothing else, one of the big things for the Ultras is, of course, just having a lot of buildings down to block them. Wonderful units that they are incredibly susceptible to being clumsy, clunky, dumb, oafy units. Now here's the fun thing, guys. Turrets can and will shoot the locusts while they're in the sky. Thors actually fare really well versus them, paired up with Blue Flame Hellbats, because of course they are light units still. So you kill about half of them in the air. The ones that don't die land with about half health from the splash damage on those Thors, and it's a wonderful pairing to have. But as we see, the planetary deals with that as well, tanking a pretty good spot. I actually like this depot a lot. I don't know if Beasty was building with this in mind, or if this just happened to be the case, but it's worked out pretty well. But man, that creep is right here on the 4th base. Ultras and Queens are just raring and ready to go at any moment. There's a small run by possibly set up here on the top right, and Medevac did carry some of the Hellions out. And Swarm Monster off cooldown once again. The nice thing about the flying, too, is if there is no anti-air around, you can fly on top of the tanks like here and just, sick 'em, boys! It's actually going to be a big dedication of an attack coming from all angles, north, south, east, and west. Well, not south, but east and west for sure. As he comes in from the right side, Locust attack from that left. He's going to break most of the tanks here, but the Ultra number is really not that high. Despite the, we'll call them intense amount of transfuses going into this, it's really just one Ultra is dealing the damage. So while it's a push, it's a good push, it's a slow push. Oh, there we go. Scarlet just messaged me back. She'll be back after this game, guys. Sadly, there is no recover feature where we can get her back into the game. We totally would. Hellbat's still going to attack the top right. Not a lot of drones here to really kill. Spine is going to be a nuisance. Hellbats are surprisingly good if you can get them on top. They do so much damage to even non-light units. The Archers and the Ultras are right here, so they should be able to clean this up. So there's that planetary placed down the middle once again. If nothing else, the Iqby cannon, or is Ipki? I can remember. Ibex cannon. Man, that just sounds so dumb. Let's be honest, Iqby sounds cooler. But the Ibex cannon, it deals a lot of damage, and it deals it in splash. But more importantly than anything else, it soaks damage way better than your tanks will. Banshee's gonna get a killing blow on the hatchery. Nice snipe over here, but there's of course more bases on the map to worry about than just this one. I'm loving the use of Banshees though. I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason, a lot of these Legacy of the Void players really start incorporating heavier Banshees into their playstyle, and it's worked really well, especially with that new Fusion Core upgrade. But this is Heart of the Swarm, and while I wouldn't normally imagine a backward transition like this works, it has actually performed pretty well in the series so far. The Hellion Run-Bys are one thing, but the Banshees, especially back on Infernal Pool, were just absolutely fantastic. Locust heading here towards the base. Duck's gonna go down. Let's have a couple of units. It's nothing really too exciting. But it is, of course, whether he wants to break this base. There is minor harass going around on the other sides of the map. Some more drone kills. Kind of nice. Petraeus is still sitting on like 60 plus. Normally this number through harass is whittled down to like 10 or 15. So it's not that dangerous for him just yet. Ultras, though, looking to push in. And again, the same problem presents itself where there are going to be blind clouds, there are going to be abducts, but this is a pretty hard base to crack. Now, it looks like he will get through the south side, but it's just, oh, so clumsy, so clunky. But none of the tanks are in position, so there's no counterattack, no fire. He's going to push this back with the air units more than anything else. But I think that's just because he was Petraeus a little bit worried about those queens getting low. He's mining from these other new bases, and of course, taking a lot of gas. It's got a pretty decent bank starting to kick up. Man, that's a lot. Like this planetary, I love because why? Why is it there? For what reasons? For what reasons? It's extra damage, I guess. Maybe soaks up some of the locusts as they land in, if that's going to be the focus. Double planetary still standing strong over here. I mean, Beasty is turtled up on 4 bases, but I don't think he can win this. I mean, maybe he turtles up and just forces Petraeus to take really bad engagements, but I think one of the biggest things we've noticed through all these attacks out of Petraeus is he's not really... that's a sick pickup. He's not really over-dedicating to these. You know, the Ultras go in, the Suck and the Blind Clouds wear off, they're backing out. The Locusts are harassing because they're for units, who cares about those? And it's been some pretty decent trades. But this is, I I don't know. For BC, like, I want to say he's got a chance. And if you're going mass air behind this, you got battlecruisers, banshees, ravens. Okay, that's a whole nother can of worms. But he's making that air transition super duper slowly, and I'm not sure if that's the way it's going to go out. But the Blinding Cloud's not going to be hitting anything. Goes for the Abducts instead. Planetaries actually do get Blinding Cloud. Pardon me. Didn't even see the smoke down there. Reducing that range by quite a bit. But this is a lot of ultras for it. Not that he can't afford to replace them, but this does, again, kind of stall out the push. A slow push. We got 9 Corruptors coming out. This is kind of what I was talking about before. Where you can start getting some Broodlords out. Sorry, the awkward pauses are me just responding to Scarlet, letting you know that, yeah, it's all good. She'll be back after this game. But yeah, the Broodlords can be a really cool transition. If nothing else, they'll help deal with these pesky Banshees that have been floating around being really annoying. And it looks like that Planetary at the third's gonna fall. Locust Harass was good. But the Swarm House left unattended. Beastyqt doing a very clever move by move commanding to get on top of these before revealing, like, oh, your units are under attack. Alright, well, this base wasn't actually properly creeped up. I guess Petraeus clicked down here on the mini-map, but missed. So, I can't believe it, but Beasty's going to take 5th. I think he's actually blocking out his command center here with that tank. He's going to have to move that, but this is such a hard spot to defend. Now, he's got the mobility through air, which is quite nice. It's going to be a cute little Seeker missile coming down. But, you know, this position was really easy to defend because there was Planetaries up here, there's Planetaries down here, but not so much on the left side. However, because he moved his whole army to the left side of the map, this does leave this side abandoned and open. And the Corruptor's going to do their job. They'll be able to just sweep the sky, so to speak. After that's done, they transfer over the Broodlords, and they should be good to go. Not a lot of Vikings for Beasty. What's he down to here? About 6 remaining at this point. Petraeus still has control of the map. He's got a lot of bases he's been mining from. He's got creep all over the place. It is going to be really hard for BC to continue expanding around like this, but why is the orbital being brought over? For what reason? There's no room to land it here, actually. Maybe right here. There we go. Cancels the turret so they can land on the command center. But as we see the Locusts coming into effect, once again, going to be quite annoying to deal with. Free units, free damage. It's pretty important that he didn't pick off a good chunk of them before, too, because if this was still 7 Locust waves worth of Locusts coming at a time, probably would start tearing buildings down, but it's like 2 or 3 left at this point. Lots of Spine Crawlers up, also make this very hard to run by. Now, if you've got a high amount of Hellions you transform into Hellbats, they can actually take on the Spine Crawlers. Not too difficult, but unfortunately it is just a small amount of Hellions doing these run-bys. Good kills nonetheless. What's he up to here? Gotta be getting that number high. 69, 70, ruined it. But here's those Broodlords, and BC's Viking count I don't think is going to be high enough to contest this. He's got 8 Vikings to deal with 10 Corruptors, much less the Queens on the ground. Some Seeker Missiles is going to be absolutely necessary, but at the same time, you really want to be using point defense drones versus these units, so it's a really hard choice, and even the ones that go down are dudded out, so to speak. So if we can find a way to win this air battle, this doesn't go too poorly for him, but winning the air battle is a huge can of worms. But oh my god, the Seeker Missiles! I didn't even see those get launched. They take out a good chunk of the Broodlords, but it's only really like a 4th or a 3rd of them. For BC, he's definitely going to lose his bottom left base. He's going to try and repair this all day long, but the Broodlords and the Broodlings will eventually win out. They are pretty well upgraded at this point in the game. Slow push with the tanks in the top right. Tank run-bys look a little bit silly, but they'll get the job done. They'll knock down bases like nobody's business. They'll take on those roaches. And starting to, I want to call this, again, it's like an air quotes, like base trade. Just air quote ace 1, ace 2. There we go. Is that what? Anyways, he will knock down a lot. The tanks have a lot of range. They got a lot of damage. As you can see, they're working out pretty well. Taking down this base. They took down the base in the top right. But despite all of this, Beasty doesn't really have any money to work with. He doesn't have a lot of production behind this. This is his army he's giving away for this harass move. Now, I would have loved to have seen these tanks start doing this, say, 10 minutes ago. Perhaps would be in a different situation. Maybe just as cleaned up by the Ultras. Either way, unfortunately, what he wants to get done now this late in the game costs him way too much. Gas intake being the biggest problem, of course, above all else. You know, Ravens, Banshees, Vikings, all these units he needs to deal with the Broodlords are incredibly expensive, to say the least. Some folks in chat asking, where's Zombie Grub? It's her birthday, guys, if you don't know. I don't know if she's going to be streaming anytime soon, but yeah, but make sure you go tweet her a quick happy birthday. Ultras. I mean, I kind of want to say they'll win this out, but there's the Blinding Clouds. That's a lot of Ravens to work through. Point defense drones going down to try and win this out. Some auto turrets coming into the fray as well. Gonna be a lot better than Seeker missiles, but oh, this transfuse are keeping the Corruptors alive, and the Viking count not that high. The Banshee count actually looks pretty fantastic, but the Seeker missile should be good. Oh, picks out the one Corruptor, so never mind. Cutting backwards with what little he has left, but I think BC is on his last legs here. Left side of the map's got some tanks to do some run-bys, but hardly threatening when faced with the massive Broodlords. Although the Vikings might just win this out. And we're at this point where Petraeus is starting to go into Infestors instead of making more Corruptors, which I don't think is such a bad idea. Fungal growths will wreck what little air there is, and this has become a very scrappy, very terrible situation, but one that BC might just be able to manage. There is no anti-air to stop this. He's picked off the Queens with the Banshees. There's no Spore Crawlers anywhere nearby. The Broodlords are getting picked off. But here comes the Infestors. That clump of air gets hit! But it's only 2 Fungals. Nothing too dangerous. 2 more coming in the way. Can he split fast enough? Get on top of the Infestors. Pick them off, maybe. Now the Fungal growth goes down. Vikings, of course, what matter the most in this situation, though. They need to finish off those Broodlords. Picking off the Vipers, going for the Overseers, everything they can. The Banshees remain alive. Oh, but his army is so weak and so battered and so scrappy is this game. 3 Vikings versus 1 Corruptor. Transfuses versus no repairs. Banshee's going to come into the fight as well, try and pick off those Queens. They're also quite low from the previous engagements, but Beasty's going to tap out. Ladies and gentlemen, Petraeus takes the series 2-1. Ugh. That was a rough solo cast. I'm not going to lie. We're going to play some extended ads. We're going to figure out what we're casting next. And, of course, I got to go get Scarlet back on the call, guys. So give us a sec, and we'll